Hello everyone, I'm Ankit and you're watching StudyIQ IAS English channel. Now we all know about a very major river system in India, Brahmaputra, which usually flows in the northeastern part of the country. But do you also know Brahmaputra originates in China where it is called as Yarlung Tsangpo. Now, China is going to construct world's largest hydropower project very near to the areas where the Brahmaputra enters into India near the state of Arunachal Pradesh. So, automatically you can assume when this kind of a massive hydropower project is created in the upstream areas of river Brahmaputra, it automatically will impact the downstream regions being India and Bangladesh. So in our today's video, we are going to understand how this Chinese dam is going to impact India and will it actually be a threat to India? The answer is yes. How will it be a threat to India? I'll tell you in our today's discussion. Now the notes of this session, if you want to download them, these will be available on a particular Telegram channel known as ATS Live. To find this channel, just open your Telegram app. On the top right hand corner, there's a search bar. Click on it and write ATS Live. You'll find the channel. But if you have problems in locating it, this is the QR code that you can scan. Subscribe to the channel if you still haven't, and you can download the notes. Now let us start by understanding where this project is going to be created and how it will impact India. Now, China has made an official announcement that it is going to start the construction of a massive hydropower project on the river Yarlung Tsangpo, which is the Chinese name for Brahmaputra. And the location of this project will be the U-turn that this river makes before entering into the Indian state of Arunachal Pradesh. Now, this construction of a hydropower project so close to Indian borders automatically has pivotal concerns for India's security interest. What are these concerns? We'll find out in our today's discussion. Now, obviously, these projects can create a lot of problems for the Arunachal Pradesh's area, which is underlying the borders with China. This is the Siang region, and there is a tribe known as Adi tribe which lives in this region. So automatically this tribe would be concerned about this particular project because it can create a certain ecological and geographical changes in the area. Now, to counter such a massive hydropower project on the Chinese side, India itself is creating a large storage dam project very near to this Chinese border known as Siang Upper Multipurpose Project. So we'll also understand how this project can actually alleviate the concerns that India has regarding the Chinese project, right? So this is how we'll start our today's discussion. But first, let us understand the region's hydrology by understanding the river that flows through the region known as Brahmaputra. Now, as I've already told you, it originates in China, particularly in the Tibetan Autonomous Region in the Chamyangdong Glacier of the Kailash mountain range. Yes, this is the same mountain range where the annual pilgrimages happen from India to China. Now, when it originates into China, this river there is not called as Brahmaputra, it is called as Yarlung Tsangpo. Now, when it emerges in the Tibetan region, it emerges as a turbulent and a dynamic river, and it carves out a deep gorge near the central Himalayan regions of Namcha Barwa. Now it enters India into a region of Geling, which is located in Arunachal Pradesh, and when it enters into India, it is called as a river Siang, and it starts to flow southwest. As it enters into India, it is meeting with its left bank tributaries known as Dibang and Lohit. So Siang combined with Dibang and Lohit emerges into a combined river form, and this river form is called as Brahmaputra. Understood? So Brahmaputra is made up of Siang, Dibang and Lohit, these three different rivers. Now it enters into India and eventually into the state of Assam right here, where it emerges with two different tributaries and it is starting to call as Brahmaputra, and it navigates into the state of Assam for more than 750 kilometers before entering into the Bangladesh, right? Now, in its 750 long kilometer journey, Brahmaputra also receives many left bank and right bank tributaries. These right bank and left bank tributaries include Budhi Dihang and Dhansari. Similarly, right bank tributaries include Subansiri, Kameng, Manas and Sankoch. Now, Brahmaputra, it enters into Bangladesh near the Dhubri region and starts to flow southward. Now, when this river enters into Bangladesh, it is joined with Teesta on its right bank, and then on it is called as a Jamuna river, Jamuna with a J, right? Now, before draining into the Bay of Bengal, it merges with another river in Bangladesh known as Padma River, right? So, please remember all these tributaries that eventually drain into Brahmaputra, and it is the Brahmaputra that ultimately drains into which water body? Into the Bay of Bengal region, right? Now, the Brahmaputra, it is characterized with its flow, particularly by its channel shifting behavior, which we witnessed during the monsoon season. And the flow of the river water is so vigorous that it can create a lot of bank erosion in the states of Arunachal Pradesh and also in the regions of Bangladesh. Now, this is due to the fact that most of the tributaries of Brahmaputra, they are large river in themselves, and they bring a large amount of flow. That is not just the flow of water, but also the flow of sediments into the river, which contributes to the gorge making characteristics of this river, right? And because this region also witnesses heavy rainfalls, you can imagine the flow of water is enormous in the months of monsoon, right? And this ultimately is one of the reasons that leads to frequent flooding in the regions of Assam, right? Now we were talking about Brahmaputra, so let us understand what are the major projects that Chinese have planned on the river Yarlung Tsangpo or the Brahmaputra river. Now, most of the Chinese projects that have been created on Brahmaputra, fortunately, those have been created on the upstream side of the river, which is quite away from the Indian borders, right? Now, these are located quite far away from Indian borders, especially from Arunachal Pradesh. So, they have a minimal downstream impact on the Indian regions of Arunachal or Assam. Now, what you have to understand, these smaller projects are mostly meant for generation of hydropower, and these are not intended to store a large amount of water. So, basically, these are run-off river projects, basically, right? Another project that the China has planned, which is a cause of concern for India, it is known as Medog Hydropower Project, which is the world's largest hydropower project, aiming to generate as much as 60,000 megawatt of hydropower electricity. And as I've told you, the location of this particular project, it is located near the Great Bend. This is the region where the Yarlung Tsangpo makes a U-turn before it enters into India, right? So automatically, when such a massive hydropower project is being constructed very near to Indian borders, it will have a large ecological and strategic impact on India. But Chinese, they've highlighted that this project will not consist of a large storage, but they have not made the data public. So this brings a concern on Indian side. What if this actually has a large storage capacity and how it will impact India? This we'll try to understand in our today's discussion. Now, when Chinese, they've not made these data public, automatically this brings a cause of concern for India. How it is a cause of concern? Let us understand this. Now, another project that the Chinese have planned in the region, it is known as South-North Water Diversion Project, particularly the western route. Now, you have to understand the region Tibet is a water surplus region, right? Because of the presence of large amount of glaciers, whereas China's northwestern side, it is a water scarce region. So what China plans is that it wants to construct many canal and of the river projects where it will transfer surplus water from the Tibet autonomous region to the rain deficit region or the water deficit region of its northwestern areas, right? So this is one of the project through which Chinese wants to supply the water from Tibet to northwestern China. Now, the western route of this project, purportedly, it involves that China will tap the waters or source the waters from Yarlung Tsangpo River and transport it to the northwestern part of the country. Although India is concerned about this project, but you have to understand there is no Chinese official confirmation from the Chinese side, right? So this is an ongoing development and we'll cover it whenever these are discussed in our newspaper, right? Now, what you have to understand is how much water does Brahmaputra get from Chinese side and from Indian side. This is very important if you have to understand how this project will impact India, right? Now, what you have to understand, the total basin area of Brahmaputra in India, it only is about 34.2%, whereas the majority lies in the Chinese region, right? But despite having a lesser share in the total basin area, Brahmaputra gets majority of its water from Indian side. That is about more than 80% of total waters in Brahmaputra are getting from Indian side, and there are two reasons for it. First is the amount of rainfall that witnessed in the region where Brahmaputra flows in India, particularly the northeastern states, as well as the state of its tributaries that I've already told you. These tributaries in themselves are a major rivers letting flow of the large amount of water. So these are the two reasons why the amount of water flowing into the Brahmaputra, majority of it is coming from Indian side, right? Now, first of all, you have to understand Tibetan Plateau is only a minor contributor to the overall waters that flow in the Brahmaputra river, and the possibility and the most important reason behind is because this is a region of scanty rainfall. And on the other side, Indian areas, that is the areas of northeast, they witness on an average 2371 millimeters of rainfall on a per year basis. So when you can understand, this is the difference between the rainfall between these two regions. Tibet witnesses about 300 mm of rainfall annually, and on the other hand, Indian side witnesses as much as 8 times more rainfall. So automatically, whenever the rainfall is more in the Indian side, automatically it will contribute to large share of waters. Another factor that we have discussed, we already discussed rainfall. Now let us discuss tributaries. Now the Brahmaputra's tributaries, it receives a large number of tributaries, which we have already understood. Now the yield of this river system, it increased significantly because of the annual monsoons. This is a region which witnesses large amount of monsoons, and automatically not just the Brahmaputra, but also its tributaries gets a large amount of water. Now, most of the Brahmaputra tributaries, they also witness a considerable amount of snow melt from the upper reaches of Himalaya, and this also contributes to the overall water flow in the region. So, in total, we understood there are two factors that contributes to larger share of Brahmaputra rivers water coming from India. These are rainfall as well as its tributaries, right? Both are interlinked factors. Now, how can it impact India? Now, despite the fact Chinese have not made the storage data available, it is expected that as India gets its major share of Brahmaputra river waters from the Indian basin areas only, therefore this project will not have a significant overall impact in India, right? So in terms of overall impact, there won't be a significant impact, but this doesn't mean that there won't be a local or seasonal impact. Let us understand what will be the local and seasonal impact. Now, first of all, to generate hydropower electricity, you need a constant flow of river water, and these constant flow of water is basically managed by the hydropower projects, right? Now, what happens in the rainfall scarce region? I've already told you Tibet is a rainfall scarce region, right? So, during the rainfall scarce season, there is a lean flow that flows through these rivers. Now, what Chinese they intend to do is that they want to dam the Yarlung Tsangpo. So whenever the flow of the river water would be lean, the dam would enable storage of large amount of water, which the Chinese can eventually use to generate hydropower electricity. But there would be a negative consequence on the Indian side. Why? Because if the Chinese stop or try to control the water during the lean water phases of Yarlung Tsangpo, it will lead to lesser flow of waters into the Indian side. So what about the hydropower projects that the Indians have planned on the Indian side, that is in Arunachal? These projects won't get sufficient amount of water. So during the peak power production periods, that is the summer months, obviously the flow of river would be quite lean, and therefore Indian hydropower projects won't be able to generate as much amount of power as they would have wanted, right? So this is the first reason. First of all is that the Chinese can actually control the flow of river water during the lean phases, and this will have a negative impact on India's ability to generate hydropower electricity. Now let us consider what will be the hydrological or ecological impact. Now automatically we understood what would happen during the lean water phases, but what about the phases where the river Brahmaputra witnesses large inflow of waters, that is during the monsoon season? So in that case, Chinese won't have the option to store this large amount of water because automatically it will be detrimental to their dam safety. So in that case, Chinese would open all the gates, and this might pose the risk of flooding into the downstream regions of Arunachal and Assam, right? Therefore, this might be both intentional and unintentional. Therefore, it is a possibility that Chinese might weaponize this kind of a capability to hurt India's interest. Similarly, there might be unforeseen events, right? We have understood through multiple studies that whenever you construct a large hydropower project in an eco-sensitive region like Tibet or in Arunachal Pradesh, it can create increasing risk of landslides as well as floods and earthquakes, right? So this might lead to unforeseen event, God forbid, but if this happens, it will automatically be detrimental to the region's interest. Similarly, many upstream interventions on the Chinese side may actually reduce the flow of river water in the Brahmaputra. And this can affect the river's morphology, it can actually affect the river's health, and it can also affect the biodiversity and the river and aquatic ecosystems that are prevailing in the region. So in all, there will be a no large scale impact, but on a smaller scale side, you can understand this might lead to ecological impact, environmental impact, social impact, and even the seasonal impact that we have understood in our today's discussion. Now, the next part of our discussion is, why is Brahmaputra so important for India? There are many statistics that highlight the same. First of all, this is statistics by Central Water Commission and ISRO's Brahmaputra Basin Atlas. It states that Brahmaputra and its tributaries put together, they contribute to about 30% of India's total water resource potential. And when it comes to generation of hydropower electricity, they contribute to a total of 41% of hydropower potential. Similarly, hydropower in Arunachal Pradesh is the only way you can use the river water to generate electricity, but the utilization of this potential have witnessed many slowdown and difficulties in land acquisition. First of all, I've told you, this region, that is the Siang region, is inhabited by a tribe known as Adi tribe. Now, what if India constructs a hydropower project in this region? Automatically, it would lead to submergence of a large part of Siang district, which might even threaten the existence of this Adi tribes, and even if they don't threaten it, it might lead to relocation and rehabilitation of these tribes. Further, what you have to understand, that this can create submergence of foreign lands. These projects might be delayed due to land acquisition issues. So these are the problems that India might face in the near future. Okay, so the next part of our discussion is, what can India do now to alleviate these concerns, or at least to minimize the impact, right? First of all, India can plan many of the storage projects on the river Brahmaputra to absorb the variations that can happen in the flow of river waters, right? So when you have your hydropower project yourself, you can actually regulate the flow of water when it enters into India in the Arunachal Pradesh region. And for that purpose, India is constructing its own hydropower project known as Siang Upper Multipurpose Project, which intends to generate almost 11,000 megawatt of hydropower electricity. And this will be built on a Siang river in Arunachal Pradesh, and it will not only generate power in the region, but it will also act as a buffer against variation in the flow on the Chinese side. Similarly, India's National Water Development Authority has earlier proposed two river water links that can enable transfers of surplus river water from Brahmaputra into the Ganga river basin, and these are called as Manas Sankoch Teesta Ganga link and Jogi Gopa Teesta Farakka link, which intends to transfer a large portion of surplus water from northeastern river basins like Brahmaputra to water scarce or water deficit Ganga basins on the summer side or in the rainfall months, right? Similarly, it is also important for India to engage diplomatically with China. First of all, you can conduct a multidisciplinary study based on which you can create a threat perception of the project, and automatically you also can bring an adaptive strategy which will help you deal with these threats. Also, we can use the diplomatic channels to seek detailed hydrological and project related data from the Chinese side so that we understand how this project might impact India. Also, we can work with China to develop a comprehensive data sharing protocols so that the Chinese side at least can give us the advance warnings, and it will enable our preparedness so as to deal with variations in the water flow, especially during the water surplus times of the monsoon season, right? So this is what India can do in order to deal with this crisis, right? There is no doubt that this brings an ecological and in the environmental crisis on our northeastern part of the country. Now, what about students who haven't taken a foundation class? I told you about Brahmaputra river systems, but you have to understand India also has many other river systems like Godavari, like Ganga, like these peninsular rivers. We teach each and every river system in details along with their major tributaries in our geography class. And if you still haven't taken coaching anywhere, I'd suggest you to please opt for resolution batches. In our resolution batches, these are P2I batches. The word P2I means we cover everything from prelims to mains to interview. So basically nothing will be left out of. You're not just provided with live classes, but you also get test series and mentorship support. You can opt for a 2027 batch or a 2026 or a 28 batches as per your own need. Please do not forget, before making the payment, you can use the code ATS Live and this will help you save 7,000 rupees. And the batches for 2027, it will start on 31st of July. So please hurry up if you still haven't taken the admission. Now there's a practice question for you. That is a PYQ of 2016. Which of the following is or are tributaries of Brahmaputra? Do let me know the correct answers in the comment section. And the ones who answer it correctly, you'll get a thumbs up from my side. Also, people who are watching this video and especially living in the northeastern part of the country, Arunachal Pradesh, Assam, please let me know what you feel about this project. I understand this would actually bring an ecological threat to the region, but do you think your region is ready for it? Please do let me know in the comment section. We are all here to solve your doubts, okay? Please do let me know. And once again, if you want to download the notes, these notes will be available on a Telegram channel known as ATS Live. So you can subscribe this channel and start downloading the notes. Okay. We'll see each other again. Please have a very good day.